An excellent video, I must say. I agree with most of it, probably all of it as a matter of fact, but I might disagree on certain points of emphasis. Number one being the importance placed on fear as a central determinative factor in both human consciousness and human success. First of all, I suppose that yes, the fear response is in certain ways an advantage. It tells you that you better run if something is coming after you, and that you'd better try to at least figure out what's going on around you, find out what that noise is in the bush or whatever. But there's the other side of the coin. To use a suitably classical saying, fortune favors the brave. So it's all very well to sort of get startled by things and try and figure out exactly what is that in the bush. But how about let's go out and kill it before it gets us? Or let's go out and dominate it before it dominates us, or me, or whatever. That could actually lead to success as well, in terms of one's ability to pass on one's DNA, assuming that that's the only purpose of existence, is to pass on one's DNA. And the word purpose is pretty much a wimp of a word here. I understand that purpose implies, at least the way that I'm trying to use it, implies a lot more than divine purpose or grand purpose or anything like that. Just the central tenet of our existence is passing on our DNA. Being aggressive actually can be an advantage. Being that noise in the bush, being those two red eyes in the darkness, can actually help us survive just as well, possibly better. One could make an argument that aggressive, predatory beings are actually more successful. Look at the Romans themselves. Secondly, I'm inclined to disagree on the idea that simply passing on DNA in and of itself is success. Because again, when you look at success, is that all there is? Is that all that there is passing on your DNA in and of itself? I don't think that that's really successful. One of the best pop culture examples of this question posed takes place in the movie Apocalypse Now, when Martin Sheen's character basically, well, he says of Marlon Brando's character, the success, the Darwinian success, the guy who bends everything around him to his will and subjugates everything and harnesses fear to his advantage. Martin Sheen's character says, even the jungle wanted him dead. In other words, the jungle, the primal forest, survival of the fittest, all that kind of thing, it isn't really bad, it isn't good, it's neutral. It is what we make of it. Brando's character, Walter Kurtz, basically his philosophy was, be the strongest, and you will be on top of the heap. And he got there and he said, well, so what? So bloody what? Who cares? Because he was conscious of the fact, he'd worked it out as a philosophy, that survival in and of itself, passing on one's DNA in and of itself, is victory. And he, again, the jungle doesn't see things that way. The jungle just watches impassively as everything takes place. So I don't even think that passing on one's DNA is success. Success, if you ask me, and I've said this in another video, is enjoying your life. Whatever it takes to enjoy your life. To actually, truly enjoy your life, though. Not just hedonistic abandon. That's an entirely different subject, mind you. Finally, I have to question your, what I assume to be your implication that Thales and his like were champions of reason. They were and they were not. They were also deeply religious people. Most of the schools that they founded, for example, the Epicureans or the Pythagoreans or whatever, They were what you and I would now call religious cults. They were sort of one might think in terms of Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh or Osho or any number of these Eastern gurus, where the guru would be a guy like Pythagoras or whatever, who would basically have a bunch of disciples around him, and it would all be very religious, very solemn, this kind of thing. And out of that, a lot of what we would call reason emerged. There were always these schools with a leader and disciples. And a lot of what they actually went through over the course of their inquiries was religious-based. That's just the way society was back then, even in classical Athens. It was a deeply religious, deeply superstitious society, and why should the people that come out of that society be any different? An interesting parallel to that is that of the Hindu society. Even today, India is a deeply religious country, but it's very comfortable with modern science, evolution, reason, logic, all that kind of thing. Hindu mathematics, science, astronomy, all this kind of thing is, just until recently, was probably ahead of Western, the Western counterparts. By fairly recently, I mean up until a couple of centuries ago, but in terms of human history as a whole, that's not a great amount of time. And all of the, or almost all of the great Hindu scientists, philosophers, thinkers, were deeply religious people, in a way that, maybe in a religious in a way that you and I might not call religious, but it was always mixed up with gods and metaphysics and this kind of thing. Hindu science and technology, or not technology, I suppose, but science, philosophy, speculation, has often been mixed up with the tantric school, which is basically the form of mysticism that relates to the physical world. And that's actually quite similar to the way that or my understanding at least, of the way that the ancient Greeks saw the world. They did go in for reason, but they certainly didn't divorce it from religion. That just wasn't the way that their minds worked. And there's plenty of other examples of this as well. The Babylonians, the ancient Mesoamericans, the Incas, any number of them. They came up with plenty of good scientific advances on their own, but they did not throw religion out of the deal. I'm not making an apology for religion. I'm just trying to say that we're deceiving ourselves a little bit when we say that science has always been separate from religion. It hasn't. That's a very, very recent development in our society, in our civilization as a race. Excellent video. Thank you.